Hello and welcome to the day in the life of a hardware asset manager. Today's use case, how many mobile device models and assets are in our environment? Now, from an operational perspective, most organizations will have one or more popular mobile device management or MDM tools like Microsoft Intune, AirWatch, which is now known as VMware Workspace ONE, Jamf Pro, which is intended exclusively to discover macOS, iPadOS, and iOS devices, or some slightly less popular tools like Citrix Endpoint Management, formerly Zen Mobile, or even BlackBerry UEM. Now, from an operational perspective, these tools are terrific in identifying configuration information associated to mobile devices that are registered or enrolled within those tools. So you'll be able to identify MAC addresses, IP addresses, IMEI numbers if it is a cellular-enabled mobile device, as well as other configuration information like the operating system. But that's only one side of the equation from a hardware asset manager's perspective. The other side of the equation is the business or financial side. We're most interested in the model of the device, how many assets roll up to that model. Why do we have multiple models of an iPhone in our environment if we're supposed to be standardized on one? What's the refresh cycle like on those devices? How close are we to the refresh so that we can plan ahead? What contracts are governing those devices? Are there service contracts from cell phone providers? Are there warranty or break fix or insurance contracts that we need to be aware of as well? And probably the most important from a hardware asset manager's perspective is where in the life cycle of an asset are my assets? How many of them are actually in use? How many of them are enrolled but not currently assigned to an individual, which means we're paying for it, but we're not extracting value from the asset? And once employees leave the organization, are we recouping those mobile devices from those employees? Those are just some of the different questions that hardware asset managers want answered. And MDM tools fall short because they're not intended to be hardware asset management products. From a ServiceNow perspective, we're able to not only integrate into that vital configuration and operational environment to connect and pull down all those useful attributes from an operational perspective, but we're also able to apply workflow and lifecycle management capabilities, as well as deep normalization and visibility into the types of mobile device models and assets that we're discovering. Let's see what this looks like on the platform. So here we are at the hardware asset workspace within the hardware asset management product on the ServiceNow platform. This is an out-of-the-box workspace experience intended for the hardware asset management persona. All of these dashboards and cards light up once you've configured those integrations to those third-party sources. First thing we're going to do is go into the model management module and under hardware models. This is where we want to see how many different types of mobile device models do we actually have. And this is possible because the hardware asset management product, together with its content service, will normalize and standardize all of the assets and the configuration items discovered within those platforms, standardize the model naming conventions that you're seeing on the left, breaking them down into manufacturers and models, but also identifying the category of asset that we're discovering. Because in your Intune environment, for example, you're probably also going to have workstations, so that's desktops and laptops, and you may even have some servers in there. So how do we delineate between the two? We're going to match on mobile devices because that's what we're interested in. So immediately I can see that I've got 14 different models of mobile devices that are scanning. So in this case, we're seeing that I have two different models of an iPhone 11. Let's click into the iPhone 11 Pro model. So straight away, I can see some attributes that apply to all assets that roll up to this model of iPhone Pro. Obviously, I've got the model number. This is auto-populated once we've discovered it. I can see that there's a 24-month useful life or refresh life cycle that's been set by the hardware asset management team for this device, which means every time another asset is created or registered, it'll automatically start to apply a 2-year period timer on that device for when it needs to be refreshed so we can track that. If I wanted to, I could set the acquisition method for this to ensure that our teams are only buying or only leasing or have the option to do both. I can apply that as well within our vendor catalog items right on the top here. I can identify all the vendors from whom this should be purchased as part of our procurement standard. Going down, I can see that this is in fact a certified model. If it wasn't certified, it would notify me if I have any assets. I can also see that this has been normalized by our content service. It's placed it into a mobile device category, and it's also found the model number of the device. Going further down, I can see that this mobile device model is also published to our catalog, so someone can actually go in and request for it along with some description. And the value of creating that link between the model of the device and the catalog item is so that anytime someone requests another iPhone 11 Pro, the platform knows to uptick this quantity of 5 assets, and any attributes that associate to this model will be uniformly applied to any assets that get created thereafter. So it ensures consistency in your modeling. The content service also includes hardware model lifecycle information. So ServiceNow grabs the general availability, end of sale, end of support, end of extended support, and any other lifecycle phase information that we can get directly from the manufacturer and enrich your book of record with that data. You can see that this model went end of sale in October 2020. So it's been end of sale for a while. Clicking into the Assets tab will reveal all of the assets that roll up to this specific iPhone 11 Pro model. And I can see in this case that it's not assigned to anyone. None of these are. They're all currently sitting in an in-stock and available state, so that next time someone requests for a mobile device, I should be able to draw from this pool. If I click into any one of these assets, it'll give me some additional business information associated now specifically to that asset record. Information like the location of the asset, since this isn't currently assigned to anyone, it's sitting in a warehouse. I can see any department information, company information that this is associated to or purchased for. I can see that this is intended to be a primary asset as opposed to a shared or a loaner asset. And we have a series of automated workflows that will leverage these types of attributes. I can also see any financial information if I had integrated my ServiceNow platform with my procurement system to see the PO number, the cost center, GL account, the vendor whom it was purchased from, etc. Going further down, I can also see the depreciated value of the asset if I had leveraged any one of these depreciation methodologies, straight line or declining balance. Now that we've seen the business information, if you go further down, you'll also see all of that operational information that was coming from our mobile device management solution. So we can see the IMEI number, the MAC address, we can see the registered cell phone number to the device, we can see when it's eligible for an upgrade, and then we can see whether the device is currently activated or not. And this is all coming directly from the mobile device management solution. And I can actually see the contract records directly associated to this asset here. So in this case, this is a cellular device, so it's a cellular contract to Verizon. I can go and see information about that contract. I can see other mobile devices that are part of that contract as well. So if I click into that value, it'll give me some information. So we're just going to see it's got the date that this asset was added. And if I click into the number itself, now I'm taken into the contract management view within the ServiceNow platform, where I can see the owner, the start and end date, I can see the financials, and probably more importantly, I can see all of the other 40 assets that are associated to this contract. And a lot of these assets are currently in stock, with very few of them actually in use. I can match this against in use to now see that out of the 41 assets, only 3 are actually in use. So when it comes time to renewing the service contract, I may not want to renew all 40 assets and pay for service for assets that are not currently in use. So extremely valuable to have this business information associated to the asset. Now we were looking at the model record view down, so the model view first, and then all the assets that roll up to that model. If I just wanted to get a total count of all of the mobile assets that are in my environment, I can do that as well. So I can go into the hardware asset overview page, and the dashboards that are automatically generated by the platform will reveal that information for me. So if I wanted to see all of the asset counts by model category, I can go in and look at the sliver here for mobile devices. I can see that I have 80 mobile devices. If I click into that tiny sliver, it'll reveal all the asset records associated to those mobile devices. So this is a simple list view. I can customize this further if I wanted to bring in other fields. Let's say I wanted to bring in the serial number of the device. I can bring those fields in as well. So I've just brought in the serial number. I can move that up or down. I may not need to see the configuration item information at this time. I may not be too bothered about who it's assigned to either, so I can play around with those values and the filters and in the drag and drop view to get a custom view that's specific to me. And once I've got this information, I can export it out into various formats. I can also publish this to a dashboard. I can make this available on a schedule basis to go out to a specific team. Lots of flexibility to share these reports out. So there you have it. The ServiceNow platform will allow you to get not only the configuration and operational information on the device, but will also be able to give you all of the business data that's associated to the device as well. Thank you for watching.